So how have you been? Like, you're in Winter Park? Uh,
Yeah, I drive up to Winter Park on the weekends.
oh, you drive up. So you don't live in Winter Park
No,
anymore.
I've been living in Denver
Oh,
lately.
nice. Oh,
Yeah.
nice. In Denver, huh? That's cool.
It's all right. I mean, I know Denver pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a big city by any means, and it's definitely an expensive one, with a lot of urban sprawl.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It
So
it became expensive, right? It wasn't too expensive, like I would say since like 2014,
yeah,
and then it
that
just
was
spiked. Mm.
when 2014 was like the last year where
Mm-hmm.
Denver was still manageable for a lot of people because when they legalized weed in
Yeah,
late
it was just
2012,
crazy.
yeah, the waves started moving in.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that was kind of like ground zero because up until then, Denver was, getting all the outdoorsy and the ski people kind of from all
Yeah.
over.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, a lot of those people saw in the last 10 years like crazy change, but it definitely accelerated twice or three times as much after weed.
And now you get people from Ohio, right?
Oh, are you talking about the chemical spill? Is that what you're getting at?
No, no, no. The meme, the Ohio meme.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
It-
I think they finally legalized a few years ago.
oh, you did it?
That's
Oh, okay, okay. That's cool.
Yeah, that's
Uh-huh.
the irony of it all is
Uh-huh.
ever since weed became crazy cheap and almost not profitable to grow anymore. I mean, we kind of went through that. You made it to Cali, which is probably where the most expensive weed I would say on the West Coast is.
Most
Probably
expensive everything.
yeah,
Yeah.
the highest good quality, but definitely expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Um, versus Colorado, you could see how at first it was all the illegal growers going legal, and then it was like $1 million dispensary licenses in the beginning,
Yeah.
and then by like 2015, 16, 17, a lot of the Pueblo sector had been set up for like these huge growing operations.
Mm-hmm.
There was huge grow operations downtown, and then fast forward 5 more years after that, and I remember getting like last time I smoked weed was in 2019, but I remember in 2017 or 18 buying like $60 ounces of really good weed,
Mm-hmm.
which is pretty insane. How do you
Mm-hmm.
make money off of that?
And so you think it's no longer lucrative to hop in that business?
No,
Okay.
no, not here. I mean, if you look at the Canadian weed stocks too, like
Mm-hmm.
I think people are counting on like national legalization at some point, which would be like another echo because a
Mm-hmm.
lot of the states where it's still illegal would get their legal weed. But yeah, other than that, it's a bit saturated.
Interesting. It
But
didn't take long, huh, to become so quickly saturated to the
no,
point.
I mean, yeah, 5 6 years. It's you have to remember that
Mm-hmm.
a lot of states had legalization on the ballot every year since
Mm-hmm.
Colorado.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because Colorado, I think, was the first to legalize, but Cali had like the preliminary stuff with medical marijuana, and then once Colorado legalized, a lot of the western states follow the exact same business model.
Mm-hmm.
Because if a lot of your economy relies on tourism, then you're gonna have a lot of alcohol and weed sales.
Mm, nice. So you've been doing CS major lately, studying.
Oh yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. I'm in my last semester, my last year for computer science. I'm doing a
Nice.
Bachelor of Arts.
Wow. So it took you like what, 4 years?
It
Mm-hmm.
took me more than 4 years because I
Mm-hmm.
went back to school in 2018 and it's already 2023. So,
Mm,
yeah, like four plus one would that make sense?
nice.
18. Well, oh, I was supposed to graduate in 2022, I think. So I took an extra year.
That's good, man.
Well,
You
the
committed to
funny
four
thing is,
years. That's cool.
the,
You know.
the funny thing is, I was supposed to do a different kind of engineering major. I was going for something more strict math or physics, and
Mm-hmm.
I transferred halfway through because I went to community college for 2 years,
Mm-hmm.
and then transferred. Got way too many credits, so I could have transferred early. I was going to go to a different school. Decided to go to the one I'm going to now because it was cheaper. Like big, big well-known school. Probably the same type of options as graduating the other one. So I went because it was less expensive and pretty much the same offering, same credentials, etc.
Okay.
And
Sounds.
then within like a year of trying to do engineering physics, I stopped banging my head against the wall and just went, hey, you know what? Computers are interesting. I've always been good at them.
Mm-hmm.
I can get this done in 4 semesters, and here I am, fourth semester, and that's
Nice.
including the summer. Yeah, I changed my mind exactly a little bit more than a year ago, like 13 months.
Mm-hmm.
So I had enough credits lying around to where I could just switch into CS and get like the shortest way out, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Mm.
Just because it's dragging on,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think.
yeah. That's true.
Uh, okay, I can't do any more than 5 years.
So you
That
just
would.
you just wanna like you just wanna be done with it, pretty much, with the studies and stuff. Uh
Yeah,
huh.
that's not kind of the approach I've been having lately because I had 6 classes in computer science last semester,
Mm-hmm.
and that burned me out a little. I did 4 last spring, 5 over the summer, 6 last fall, and I'm doing 4 now.
Mm.
So I've just been basically I haven't on paper I other than gigs and stuff I haven't worked like a W-2 since last summer. I did like construction for,
Mm-hmm.
3 summers.
Mm.
Did a lot of snow shoveling over the winters.
Mm.
So that was kind of my thing
Mm-hmm.
when I went back to school.
You think you'd be able to build a house now? Do you have enough skill?
I can repair a roof and
Okay.
bang a hammer, but
Mm-hmm.
no, I've never done I've done a little bit of tile work, but I'm not particularly good at tiles or let's see, what's another thing that I would have to get better at? Plumbing,
Mm.
electrical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool, cool, man.
Yeah.
So, do you like see anybody from like the old gang in Winter Park?
You know what? I talk to John every once in a while,
He's in
but
he's in
only
he's in Denver or in Winter Park?
he's in Denver. He's
Mm-hmm.
he's been doing the art thing for a while,
Yeah.
and he's gotten a lot better at it. He's into repairing mopeds or something like
Okay.
that. Yeah, like small engines. He did detailed a car with his dad, some kind of one off from like the 60s or 70s. So
And
that's kind of his hobby outside of art. But I actually haven't seen him in person in a while. The only reason I reached out to him was because I don't know if you've ever met Marshall, but Marshall died last month. So
oh, okay.
uh,
I don't think I have. Wow. Okay.
yeah, it's from John's grade.
Hmm. So
I
like,
keep up with Shrewdness.
oh, you
He's
do?
the and do you remember Gabrielus or
I
no? Maybe
mm,
barely. Met him once or twice.
maybe yeah.
He hung out with us in the Blue Moon, but yeah, Brett I
Mm-hmm.
never saw again. I saw him doing bike taxi work once. I was doing bike taxi work, and he was like going to work at a bagel shop downtown. This was like early in the morning once,
Mm-hmm.
and no, I know he got messed up after us family members died, but he never really reached out. So Shrewdness is
Mm.
the only one left out of that gang that I keep up with.
Oh, he's in Denver or
No, he's up in Winter Park,
oh, okay.
managing the Safeway.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Wow, interesting. He was like, like super like hyperactive out of all of us, and now he's just a managing guy, right? Just-
Yeah, yeah, it's
yeah,
funny how it works.
yeah,
Um,
interesting.
you a lot of people get burnt out. You know, we used to be really into like making music for like
Mm-hmm.
way too long, and
Uh-huh.
he got burnt out before I did. So,
Yeah. And you still continue it, right?
you know, actually, I was like mixing just before you called,
Mm-hmm.
just putting a new mix together because I DJ locally,
Mm-hmm.
so
Nice,
get
dude.
get a few dollars here and there. You know,
That's good. That's
some gig
awesome.
work. That reminds me, I got to reach out and get some cash over Venmo, bang on some doors.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Did you like invest into new gear?
Not in a while.
Mm.
Actually, I sold most of my gear, so
Mm.
right now I have my buddy's speakers that I borrowed for the weekend,
Mm. Okay.
and that's kind of the only reason I'm working on a mix is because I know I'll have to give them back on Tuesday.
Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's cool.
Might as well do this now over the weekend and get back to algorithms
Yeah. Man,
and operating systems and
dude,
what
algorithms.
else? Yeah.
So basically, like I've been working the for Apple for like almost 3 years, but I've
Hmm.
been contracting. I was never like a full time worker,
Hmm.
and this my contract ended like on December, and right now I'm back on the market, but like market is super dry, man, like crazy dry.
Yeah, I know it's been
Mm-hmm.
like a whole year down for a fact.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Like just to give you an idea, back last year when I was on the market, like I would get at least 5 to 10 calls a day. You know,
Hmm.
right now I get those in a week only. Even though like the requirements are a lot more stricter. You know, they require automation. You know, algorithms
Hmm.
and stuff like that. And during the time, I guess that was my mistake. But during the time I was working, like those 3 years, I
Hmm.
didn't necessarily, develop my skills. You know, I thought I would develop them during work, but it never happened. You know, pretty much.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's hard to
Mm-hmm.
you know what I kind of if you do computer work, you just you give your job or you know, well in my case I guess it's just learning, but spend so much time in front of a computer and your eyes burn out, you know, and your body's just sitting there. It's like you need to keep your body active,
Yeah.
and you don't really have time to do that, especially since you have a family. That's like even less time
Mm.
to stay active. So you know, I wouldn't really be investing much. I know a lot of people are like that where they double down, but mm, you know, maybe like a few days a week. But even at that pace, you can't really like get
Mm.
too far too fast.
Yep. Our bandwidth is low, right?
Yeah, there's not enough time in the day. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Yep. Ah, man. So, you've been, have you lost a lot of money during crypto, like when it crashed?
Yeah,
You did?
full disclosure, I made 60K and pretty much lost it all. So
That sucks.
yeah, up and down, rode the roller coaster.
So, do you still believe in it? You think there's still a chance to, like, there's still a good idea to invest?
Oh yeah, I
Okay.
know exactly what to invest in. I just need more money coming in
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
because
So,
right now,
what makes you think that people are gonna believe in it again? The
it's just
technology?
it always comes back
Mm-hmm.
with markets. It's like there's always a greater fool, and people are always there's like an optimism bias,
Mm-hmm.
and you can tell our generation, the generation before us, the generation before us, these all of these people have lived in times of accelerated technological growth
Mm-hmm.
where technology creates like extremely rapid societal change and cultural change, and every generation has like different jobs
Mm-hmm.
too,
Mm-hmm.
which all this stuff is really disruptive, and and people, in order to stay sane, they need narratives and stuff to believe in. You know,
Mm-hmm.
one of the strongest narratives that exists is technological advancement and progress and improving the tools or the machinery or the methods, right? And I mean, finance has been locked down and not democratized in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Mm, it's one of the last frontiers, and finance and computing, like, kind of. I mean, computing's just gets its hands in everything. Right now, I think that the opportunities. So there's a narrative each crypto cycle. Like the first cycle, it was just Bitcoin. It was like, oh, well, yes, this thing does work. Like when it blew up, died, and came back, which was
Mm-hmm.
like the 2014 cycle,
Mm-hmm.
people accepted, oh, wow, the Ponzi scheme unraveled, Mt. Gox got hacked, like it's never coming back. All these people just, tulip bubble.
Mm-hmm.
And then it came back. And when it came back, it had what? It had a bunch of different clones doing different things, tweaking the parameters. It had Ethereum with like smart contracts.
Mm-hmm.
And then the new meta was like, oh, ICOs, initial coin offerings. Like you can buy a coin, and for the first time you can speculate on the market. Like with a stock, you could speculate on a development team. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That was the meta in 2017. That blew up. That ultimately, got too saturated. Everyone was just not, was pretending to be a development team, pretending these big things, and then the market crashed, re-regulated, and then what was this last cycle about? I mean, the end of it was NFTs, like digital trading, digital assets, but a lot of it was also finding good ROI on your money through different DeFi, like the decentralized finance primitives,
Mm.
essentially. Like, oh, so you're saying that um, I don't need a custodian like stock exchange or like crypto exchange to trade my asset. I can just have it on chain, and on chain you can have like mathematical logic that creates opportunities for like arbitrage and trade and making that same thing got corrupted eventually, right? That's why we've been in a bear market for like over a year. But there's always a new narrative. So I think that the next narrative is like kind of like the AI stuff, which has already
Mm-hmm.
started.
Mm-hmm.
It's people are realizing that human minds and like a lot of these menial tasks, especially in like art, graphic design, marketing, all this stuff can be automated with something that essentially we don't know if it passes the Turing test or not. And a lot of these APIs are going to be very in demand. So I think like there's going to be a bridge in which crypto allows you to automatically govern like a lot of the APIs for the AI products that are coming out, and
Wow.
they're probably going to get better. That's one narrative. I mean, the other narrative, I don't know. It could really be anything. The big challenge is each bubble.
Uh-huh.
There's less gains. Like the first bubble was like 10,000x, right? Like the next one was 1,000. The next one was 100. So it's like the if you have 10% of the world using Ethereum, like it's not the same as like being a 1% and then going to 10%. Like going from 10% to 100% is going to be a lot different. You need like financial institutions on board and
Mm-hmm.
giant regulatory bodies. So like that's the limiting factor here. Is like I think that the gains this next cycle are going to be less insane.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, I mean, this is February 2023, middle of February 2023 right now. It's a really good time to start figuring out what your bag is for the next bull cycle, and that involves buying
Mm-hmm.
fundamental cryptos, and then of course, there's the whole world economy aspect, which I mean, the world is returning to like a Cold War state, and resources are getting harder to come by because of
Mm-hmm.
that.
Mm-hmm.
So you could always hedge long in crypto and long in technology, hedge it with a long in commodities and oils and stuff. That's my recommendation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the
What do you
idea
think?
of blockchain combining with AI is pretty cool, by the way.
It's a no-brainer. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
like
Like for instance, like these Chat GPT, right? The companies like that are
yes,
centralized and they're using
hmm
their own cloud,
yeah,
to
OpenAI.
yeah. But if the AI will be decentralized, and I guess every node would contribute to it somehow, that'd be
Yeah, there's
interesting.
going to be
Yeah.
plenty of solutions. I don't know what's going to be like the
Mm-hmm.
most hyped one,
Uh
but
huh.
always go where the hype is.
Yeah.
Especially when we're in full bull cycle and people are going crazy again. Like definitely put your money there into
Mm-hmm.
what's figure out what the next Doge is of blockchain AI
Mm-hmm.
app like a
But you're
year.
more into like placing bets, right? Just playing like on the market.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. I see. I'm.
So like right
Mm-hmm.
now, INJ is really good engine. Um, what else? RSR reserve rights. That's
Mm-hmm.
gonna go up again. Matic, I mean, is really solid. Solana, I don't know because they had a lot of fallout, but I would put money in Matic and obviously Ethereum and Bitcoin.
What's the reserve? What is it? RSR?
Yeah, that's just stuff I've looked like INJ and RSR look really good from like a technical analysis standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't these aren't long term bags. These are
Mm-hmm.
like honestly at this point, a lot of cryptos that haven't been wiped out
Mm-hmm.
from last cycle, if they're still around, that shows you that they're pretty resilient. Like
Mm-hmm.
the ones that have been able to rebound and
Mm-hmm.
haven't just gone completely, you know, to nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the ones that rebound the strongest now. Those are the ones you want to like look at.
So those guys who were ICOing like crazy, like pretty much most of them are gone right now, right? Pretty much. Like what I'm talking about, that
From
you were
five
talking
years
about the
ago,
meta of
ICOs.
ICOs, you remember?
Oh, I think you're. Are you referring to like when the metaverse was like
No,
really
no, no, no,
popular late in the last cycle?
no. I'm referring to like you remember you were saying like the meta was to do
Oh, the meta.
ICOs and
Yeah,
stuff. Yeah.
yeah, that was in 2017. The
Okay.
2022 meta was DeFi and
Okay.
NFTs.
But I think still a lot of people were doing the ICOs and stuff, right?
Yeah, if you could get in the ground floor on something, but it was mostly just like going on, I don't know, Binance Smart Chain and looking for little moonshots, right? Like I remember you reaching out to me about SafeMoon. That was a Binance token.
Uh huh. Uh-huh.
That was the first one to have reflections. Anything that had with DeFi, it was like anything that has novel tokenomics or anything that has like promises insane gains,
Mm-hmm.
like the a combination of as many marketing tools as you can. That was the thing that would take off.
Mm.
That and Ethereum clones like any Phantom, Solana, Matic, anything that expands on Ethereum, Polygon, and well, that's it's not this exactly the same thing as Ethereum, but like layer ones, competitive layer ones was a whole category of assets that blew up. Novel tokens on a variety of chains with like cool tokenomics was blowing up. Meme coins, like straight up animals themed stuff, would blow up. It was after in because it was funny. Like the last cycle was like a double. It was kind of like a camel with two humps as opposed to one.
Mm-hmm.
And in each one of those humps, like stuff was taken off. And especially when Facebook decided to rebrand to Meta, like
Mm-hmm.
that was when a lot of the stuff like Mana, Decentraland, like the things promising, what is it? The virtual reality,
Mm-hmm.
virtual reality NFTs, virtual real estate, and all that
Yeah, yeah.
that crap. Yeah,
They
there
all
was there
fell
was a
through.
you could see like the waves of what was popular and
Mm-hmm.
happening.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
There was Doge, there was Shiba Inu, and then there was doggy bonk. There was a every week there was like some little dog coin popping up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Pretty crazy.
Yeah,
Oh.
well, there was one coin. Shoot, this is from over a year ago, but there was like it was a coin that had oh yeah, Obama Sonic or something. Obama Sonic coin. I remember you knew the market was like late in the cycle because of this thing. Yeah, Harry Potter Obama Sonic 10 Inu coin. Like like when stuff like that last November,
Yeah.
or like November over a year ago, when that was blowing up, you knew like it was late in the cycle. Like it's
Wait,
always a good indicator.
have you ever thought of doing ICO yourself?
Yeah, so I mean, that's kind of what I wanted to get into, but I didn't really have the technical expertise to do that. And
Mm.
I mean, nowadays it's like you can open up Chat GPT and ask it to write you an
Have you
Ethereum
played
smart
with it, by the
contract.
way? Played around?
Yeah, I use it pretty much all the time.
Yeah. I use it
Yes.
often as well, but uh, what 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 were you able to learn from it so far?
I've made VSTs for audio applications. I was trying to make little widgets on it in JavaScript, like browser widgets.
Mm-hmm.
What else did I use it for? I use it to type up LaTeX, which is a mathematical notation
Mm-hmm.
for assignments. It makes it a lot faster. I use it to, um, type me up a marketing description, right? Like product description, product
Mm-hmm.
sales,
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. Uh, and then I've just used it to code, to help speed up the coding process, debug certain things, ask it like I can ask it how a certain algorithm works and give it a graph,
Mm-hmm.
and it'll solve. It doesn't solve the graph perfectly, but it'll give me an outline of like what's going on and help me figure out the rest.
That's cool. So, what do you think about the art thing with the AI?
Go with Dolly 2 or
Yeah.
whatever I think it
Uh-huh.
was.
Dali, Mid
Um, you know,
Journey. Mm-hmm.
yeah, all the different styles. I mean, it's kind of already up in the air. I'm waiting for the 3D version of that to get better because that's gonna start being. I mean, it already is used for video games, but we're gonna see more commercials using the AI art. We're gonna see more video games having behavior trees that generate probably art on the spot. So, you have video games that have 100% unique playthroughs where
Mm-hmm.
like the objects will be more randomly generated and they'll probably be like integrated better into those engines. 3D assets are going to be like faster to make as well. I think photogrammetry, right? Like when you scan an object in real life, you can just you'll be able to do that with less photos, worse quality photos, recreate that image or recreate that image as a 3D object, and then use it in your video game or your virtual reality. So a lot of this stuff is actually making it's making like a metaverse possible as long as
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
people buy into the wearing a thing. That's the missing link here is the human to
The
computer
interface, right?
interface.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's the missing link right now.
Cause I have the VR. I have like
Hmm.
the Quest one,
Right,
and I've
you've had
been,
it for some time.
yeah, and I don't know. It's just my eyes start hurting. Maybe it's like I don't know. My son plays it more often, I guess, but it's because maybe because the kids, like a lot of them are kids there that play the VR. That what I
Yeah,
noticed. Yeah, so it's probably their market.
yeah.
Uh
The
huh.
that that the generation's getting primed for the future.
Uh huh. Uh huh. So we'll see. Yeah. Are you excited about the VR thing? The
No,
virtual.
I've tried VR a few times, and the
Mm-hmm.
first time I think I tried it in 2015 or something,
Mm-hmm.
15, 16.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
I had like a few beers, so it felt more real.
Mm-hmm.
And but you know what? I just really would rather not, wear some weird thing on my head.
Mm-hmm.
Too clunky.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's true.
It's goofy.
I don't know.
I realized that in like 2018 when I saw people using it a lot, and I was like, I'd
Mm-hmm.
rather stay in the real world.
The real world is still a little bit cooler than VR. They're just not there yet, I guess. We'll see.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I
Mm-hmm.
even tried a VR shooter in like 2018, 19,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, I think I'm a little bit too uncoordinated for some of this stuff as well.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'd have to play that first person shooter game. But yeah, the to convince me to get in the VR, it would have to be like me thinking back on my childhood when Call of Duty came out, like in
Mm-hmm.
2003, like the
Mm-hmm.
original Call of Duty. And you could play it on your Windows computer. You could play all these like cracked maps and crazy stuff. Like that was so addicting. Like so
Mm-hmm.
to beat that kind of dopamine
Yeah.
release, the VR would have to be like fully immersive. I don't even know like if I'm in it or not.
Yeah, the VR is like a little bit of a different beast in terms of gaming, right? Because remember those the previous gamings, right? You're either on PC or you're having like a controller in your hand, and you don't
Yeah.
have a lot of stamina issues. All you do is just move your fingers pretty much. But here
Hmm.
you like a lot of your body movements, so it kind of like gives you a lot more exercise. So you're physically almost not able to sustain the longer sessions there. Almost, you get
Mm.
tired very fast.
Yeah,
So.
it's a little bit counterintuitive
Mhm.
for
For
yeah.
the gamers of previous generation, I guess, because like you're expecting to be, spending a lot more, time and giving a lot more energy out. But once you give your all, like in certain game, you get exhausted very fast. And those games.
Yeah,
Uh huh.
well, I mean that too, and the average modern first worlder or American or whatever you want to say is, they don't. There's not really a lot of movement that has to be done to.
Yeah. So we already like super lazy, for that stuff.
Yeah, yeah,
Unless you come
exactly.
up with something that you can, I guess, use your controllers and just lay down. Even then, I don't know. Like this like huge thing is just like weighing down on your head. It also tiring. You know.
Yeah, yeah.
Also, I noticed like even though like you sit in front of screen, right, for like
Hmm.
all day, like
Hmm.
be it computer or like a console, you still
Hmm.
like look around and you like look far and close. Still do that. But when you wear those big like the goggles,
Hmm.
the only like thing you see is those two screens, right? And you cannot see farther or closer, just one, like focus point.
Yeah,
And after that, when you
from a
take it
design
off,
perspective. Hmm.
those muscles in your eye, they basically just used to that one state.
Hmm.
They don't want to move again, and it kind of messes with your vision.
Then you're all nearsighted for a minute, right?
Exactly.
Hmm.
Have you experienced that?
I experienced some kind of disorientation, but I've never had it on for more than like half an hour, I think.
Because I've been trying, like testing it to for like longer sessions. I wanted to see like if if I'm able to play it as long as I like, for instance, play games on
I mean,
console or something.
some people get straight up vertigo.
Yeah, I noticed. I wonder, like probably they're just not complaining about their vision. They're just so enjoying themselves there. But it definitely affects vision. It's like my experience. It
Oh, my vision's
definitely.
gotten so bad just from regular screen time.
Mm-hmm,
There's the 20-20-20 rule, right? You want to look 20
mm-hmm,
feet away
mm-hmm.
for 20 seconds. I forget what the other 20 is.
Yep. Because I remember playing VR and I wanted to look away. Like after a certain period of time, you just want to look away. But you cannot do that because those two screens just right in front of your eyes.
Hmm.
Uh-huh. So that's the part that I don't know. They need to come up with some better. I don't know. I feel like have you played the game called Cyberpunk?
No, I know it's made by the same people
Yeah.
as The Witcher. Yeah.
Yeah. So I played that game and there's like the future looks interesting, and some people like have pretty much like the VR thing right like carved inside their eyes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think that it needs to be something like that. I think so. Just like replacing their eyes, pretty much, not putting the screen in front of it, because like putting the screen in front of it doesn't work.
Yeah,
That's what.
retinal
Hmm.
implants,
Hmm.
basically.
Yeah, or something like that. Yeah, retinal implants, or imagine the blind people that never saw, had a vision. They just, you know, put put them straight to like I don't know, like a computer program or an internet or something like
Well,
the
yeah,
interface. Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
then it's like, okay, you either have to interface with the optic nerve
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
and figure out how to create vision, or you go even deeper than that and you
Yeah.
interface
Or
with the
just go
brain
straight to
instead.
the brain like Matrix, right?
Hmm.
Hmm. Then maybe it's something, I guess, completely
Well,
different.
yeah,
Yeah.
so this is
Mm-hmm.
where I see, okay, if the AI keeps going, right, there's not like a big roadblock. And if it gets really good, it can start potentially making certain algorithms or math better on its own and replacing basically making the job of research easier. And if you apply that to the medical industry, especially to figuring out some of these like lower level DNA protein processes that happens within cells or stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. Or even kind of if there's some kind of like biological computing applications, then I could see the AI potentially things getting really crazy really fast
Dude,
with
super fast.
interfaces. Yeah.
This is like with this AI like Chat GPT thing right now. I'm like thinking, what kind of future is waiting? Because a lot of things could be accelerated a lot more. So like
Mhm.
you need to think almost differently.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, it's
Mm-hmm.
easy to fall into like this kind of like anti-technological, what do you call it, like Ted Kaczynski
Yeah,
sort
yeah,
of
yeah. Mm-hmm.
vibe, because you see how much is being disrupted and like changed, and how the world can quickly become unrecognizable or like anti-human.
Yeah. Well, my
Uh,
stance on this is like this, man. It's scary, but at the same time, everything that you don't understand fully is always scary, right? But at the same time, it's almost inevitable, you know?
right. Yeah. I mean, even
Yes.
if civilization were to collapse, I think that um, I mean, maybe there's some things that civilization can't get past, but as long as there's cheap energy sources and like machines that can self-replicate, like
Hmm.
it can keep going.
I think like human civilizations can only slow it down, the progress, and they can only
Hmm.
slow down the progress, but they cannot stop it. It's just it's
Yeah, the
inevitable.
technological arms race is like the same thing with like when the internet came out,
Hmm.
and then people started getting really good at hacking,
It
and then like a lot of the hackers end up working for the government.
it's almost like we were programmed to create artificial intelligence.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it's and
yeah,
eventually made obsolete by it.
yeah.
Like
It's like
we
we're just passing a torch type of deal.
Yes,
Uh-huh.
and we might end up as house pets, like
Yeah, that would be
in
so. Like we
house.
were the technological advancement compared to animals. Now we are gonna be those animals, right?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
it's like the same idea as like you're a bootloader
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
loading
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
loading an operating system, and
So
that operating
I
system
don't
is
know.
some
I don't.
an
I can.
intelligence better than us in
Yeah,
every way.
I can't say that I like mind that too much. If that's the way of the progress, I guess it's the way it is. But at the same time, I think in the meantime, we could be like a hybrid, like we are right now, the hybrid version.
Hmm.
We are like cyborgs already, you know.
Yeah,
Like by the way we use technology, we have this knowledge in our palms.
yeah. We have
Mm-hmm.
smartphones,
Mm-hmm.
and we're
We
just
use technology a lot
constantly
more.
interacting with
Mm-hmm.
computers. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
they're
Mm-hmm.
just outside of our physical bodies.
Yeah.
Mm.
So I'm just, I was thinking like on the market, right? Like, how are we gonna survive, right? Like, I mean, I maybe I'm thinking too old school, but like, how am I gonna make a living in the future, right? If these jobs almost like they're maybe not gonna be obsolete, but
Mm.
maybe my thinking is less and less people are gonna need it to do one job than before. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so this
Mhm.
is all going to happen in cycles. I don't think there's going to be like a
Mhm.
job apocalypse to end all jobs or something for the majority of humans forever.
Mhm.
I think that like humans are becoming less useful, and then they're also realizing that, and that's where like a lot of people struggle with finding purpose and value and meaning in their lives.
Yeah, that's true.
Um,
That's true.
but with I think that politics continues and warfare continues and power struggles continue, and if you can't find a useful task for your population, people can organize themselves to go to war, which is essentially what I think is the world is headed to again.
Yeah, World War.
Unfortunately. Yeah, yeah, pretty much.
Just to keep us a little bit more sane, just like to feel useful and valuable.
Well,
Mhm.
not necessarily that, but I think that the like if getting into the economics of it, like for the first time in a while, maybe I don't know who or where it's coming from. Maybe it's because there's a probably a lot of geopolitical factors that'll eventually come out. I mean, people will analyze this for like decades, right? But
Mhm.
I think that China's slowing down, returns like ROI
Mhm.
for the West are also difficult because debt is used as a way to speed up technological progress, and the reason that debt the debt system changed since like the 70s or whatever, like gold standard or money printing, right? Bretton Woods.
Mhm.
I think petrodollar, all this stuff. There was an energy crisis, and then in order to resolve the energy crisis, you had to speed up consumption
Mhm.
and also figure out the supply. So there's always this like base equation with like the energy needed to power civilization, the manufacturing to create new things, and the consumption. And like most of the world's consumers are in the US, right?
Mhm.
And for the first time in a while, it's like BRICS, Russia, China, or whatever, are kind of separating from this system, and it's creating new hazards globally. I mean, the U.S. still has the biggest army, or armed forces rather. So they
Mhm.
have the best power projection on the whole world. But I mean, they're trying to the Russia China are desperately trying to figure out a way to integrate so that they're not so vulnerable economically to the whole U.S. military machine.
Mhm. Mhm.
Essentially,
Yeah, I think that's also, I guess, predictable. Like
yeah,
everybody is gonna do that.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's
Mhm.
cycles
Mhm.
because different parts of the world go through. go through industrialization at different rates, right? I mean, that's essentially what World War II was about. World War One
Mm-hmm.
and World War Two is
Mm-hmm.
the UK industrialized way faster than everyone else in Europe, and then Germany caught up a little, but and then the US overtook the UK, and then the Soviet Union had this thing going on. So the three of them teamed up to beat Germany, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Japan too on the other side. I mean, Japan is essentially like they followed the English model
Mm-hmm.
uh, extremely well. They probably industrialized better and faster than England did,
Yeah.
know.
I also like, I don't know if that's true or not, but like Japan itself, like in terms of technology, like
mm
inside
mm
the country is, I've heard like they're also like advancing pretty crazy. It's just not out in the world, you know. They're not marketing it outside. I don't know if that's true or not.
Oh,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
well, I mean, yeah, I
Hmm.
don't put it past them. Japanese work ethic is probably the best in the world.
And also
Um,
like the way they like to, you know, keep the system closed, you know. They don't like outsiders too much. They want to keep it super closed. So
yeah,
yeah,
out
like
of
the.
all of the
Mm-hmm.
first world countries, they're the least integrated in terms of like, um, what is it, demographics and immigration.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But and they're still living in the shadow of having two nuclear bombs dropped on them, and then having to exchange all of their military ambitions for economic ones.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So the over three generations, the Japanese mind has been sort of relegated to like, oh well, we can only advance. We don't really, they don't really have a military outlet
Mm-hmm.
for
Mm-hmm.
for a lot of those guys. But I think that'll change because now that China is becoming more of a power player, Japan's going to remilitarize.
Yeah.
The U.S. wants Japan to remilitarize, ironically, and for the
Hmm.
first time in over 70 years, it's going to happen. I mean, you heard recently, right? Like, Russia and Japan are for the first time arguing about the islands.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because
Uh,
no treaties were ever signed after World War II.
uh,
No peace treaty between the
so
Soviet Union.
the currently the lands that are like those islands are under Russia right now, right?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
okay. And Japan wants to reclaim them, pretty much.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now that the U.S. and Russia are probably at like the worst relations since '89. Yeah,
Mm, interesting.
it's all about economic spheres, right?
Yep.
Like North Korea is basically just another diplomatic tool for China.
Mm-hmm.
They're the way China can get away with a lot of stuff like hacking and certain types of arms development,
Yeah.
money laundering.
Yeah. True.
Essentially, I don't know where the world's going to go, but
Yeah.
sure as hell, all the AI stuff and all of the people who don't know what to do and all the consumers, excess consumers in a time of decreased consumption, like all of these economic pressures are going to have to be resolved.
Yeah.
And what better way to resolve it through war, where you get
Mm.
rid of a lot of people.
Like sometimes when in doubt, just start a war, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a lot of advancement happens in time of war, and people are like subject once again to like a certain amount of evolutionary pressure.
Yeah. And then
Like,
nothing unites better than war, right? People.
yeah, exactly. I mean, you end up having stronger like state political machines, right? Like regimes strengthen
Mm-hmm.
themselves through war, usually internally.
Mm.
At least the victors do. So.
Yeah. There will be a lot less, I guess, BS, you know? More like straight up just, okay, we have our bosses and we need to do what, you know?
Yeah, a
Yeah.
more
Uh-huh.
unapologetic form of power, you know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like soft, a lot of more soft power turning
Mm.
into hard power.
Yeah, right now, right?
Yeah,
And it's almost getting like super weird, you know? Like everybody has their own uh,
camp. Hmm.
camp opinion, and like and some like some of them are, I don't know, almost borderline and not, have nothing to do with reality, but they still push it, you know?
Hmm.
That
Well,
that's
yeah,
the
that's
weird part for me, is like, dude, some people just are willing to do it just to keep it. I don't know what's the deal there, like what's the
save
agenda,
face,
huh?
save face,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
maintain regularity. I mean, there's a
mm-hmm.
lot of crazy people with the internet. I mean, you have essentially we've been trained to have unfettered access to information, and more information isn't the same as like better quality information.
Yeah,
And then and now every state agency has a intelligence service that has a backdoor into your mind and can socially engineer you, and that's why we see a lot of like these weird right radical, left radical things in each country, and narratives being remixed
yeah,
from
yeah.
from the last war or
Uh-huh.
earlier than that. There's a lot of narrative building in order to serve um, the motives
Yeah,
of
I
the
wonder,
foreign countries.
right? Like before, like we didn't have access to that much information, right? So like I remember like my grandparents, they would just watch TV and read the newspapers, and there would be a plenty of information, you know.
Mm.
And maybe you would hear about these, I guess, viruses or wars or some things like that happening, but it's something happening somewhere, you know.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
nowadays, it's just everything, I guess, is still happening, but it's just you have the access to all of that information now, you know.
I mean, yeah, even with
Uh huh.
I keep up with the Russia Ukraine war every day.
Uh huh.
Because there's like Telegram groups, detailed maps and stuff. There's propaganda operations on both sides,
Mhm.
and every day if you really want to get your dopamine rush, you can log into a variety of channels on YouTube or Telegram or whatever, and then see exactly what the front lines are like and see videos,
Yeah.
from
Are you
exactly what's
concerned
happening.
about the Poland down the line?
Well, I think I think if Ukraine
Mm-hmm.
loses, I think that Poland's next on the menu within like 10 years.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like not right away,
What's
obviously,
the
but
what's the Poland stance on it? Are they concerned too?
right now
Mm-hmm.
it's different because I don't think Poland has had this much economic prosperity ever
Mm.
in its whole like development cycle. And
Mm-hmm.
then all of a sudden the inflation got bad, then the war made inflation way worse.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is really congested, and about a tenth of the population is Ukrainian refugees now in Poland. So you go to like
Wow.
I was there this summer. I was spent 3 months,
Okay.
and you go to the park, and you just hear Russian being spoken by all the little kids at the park.
Not Ukrainian, Russian.
Well, Ukrainians speak Russian, right?
I mean, they have their own language.
Y-
Yeah, different.
Yeah,
Uh huh.
but the vast majority of them speak Russian.
Oh, they still speak Russian. Can you tell the difference
Yeah.
between Russian or Ukrainian or no? Probably not.
There's some of the words are different, but
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I
Uh huh.
can't tell unless someone speaks for a while,
I see. I see. Okay.
I
Cause
mean, Russians emphasize G, and then Ukrainians emphasize H.
mm-hmm.
Like a lot
Mm-hmm.
of the words with G's in them, they say
Yeah.
with
Mm-hmm.
H. Yeah, like that I can pick out. But
Mm-hmm.
I mean, all of the basic words are
Mm-hmm.
very similar. The sentence structure.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, they're very, very similar to each other. But like, if you say this stuff like to a Ukrainian guy, he would be very, offended. Stuff like that.
yeah, I
Cause
know.
yeah,
I
cause
know.
before when I used to live in Kazakhstan, right, post-Soviet Union
Mm-hmm.
Kazakhstan, and
Mm-hmm.
we had a lot of different, nations. It's like Kazakhstan was almost like a melting pot during that time. Whoever
Yeah, I
was
mean,
close to the Germany
yeah.
side, basically what they did, they just put them all inside Kazakhstan, so nobody would think about
Yeah,
going.
didn't
Mhm.
all of Crimea get deported to Kazakhstan, and
Pretty
then
much,
like a
yeah.
bunch of Chechnya got deported
Yep,
there.
yep, yep. So my
Uh,
grandma is German,
yeah,
and
you told me before. Yeah,
she's not the German. She was she grew up in Chechnya, Grozny. So I don't know.
frontier
Somehow
German.
Germans
Yeah.
were, yeah, Germans were end up there. I don't know how, but so she's from there, and then she moved through Caspian Sea to Kazakhstan, and that's how a lot of people from different countries, Korea, even Korea. I don't know how did they end up in Kazakhstan, but there is a lot of Koreans in our country.
Really?
Uh huh. Uh,
What's his name? Is half Korean.
by
Was
the
half
way,
Korean
they have
too.
Russian first names, but last names are usually Kim.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah,
that's
yeah.
interesting.
Kim.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
funny.
Uh-huh, uh-huh. But
Yeah.
first names are Russian,
Mm.
which is funny.
Who's the singer from Kino? He's like half Korean,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
He
He's
was.
Tsoi. Yeah, he's
Toy,
Korean.
yeah,
He's
yeah.
Korean.
Victor,
Yep,
yeah,
Victor Tsoi.
yeah,
You see, Victor is like Greek name. Russian names are a lot of them are Greek names, right? Victor, Alexander.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It goes all the way back to Kiev and Odessa and all
Mm-hmm,
that,
mm-hmm.
and 600 years before Moscow was even like a
Yeah, and
thing
back
on the
then,
map.
for me,
Hmm.
like Ukrainian or Russian, I didn't have any distinction inside Kazakhstan because they were all living in Kazakhstan, so there was no
Hmm.
difference pretty much.
So you can't tell Ukrainian
Before I couldn't
back
tell,
then.
but once I moved to US, then
Mm-hmm.
I started understanding like how big of a difference, like how, for instance, like Ukrainians like didn't like Russians. I never thought that was the case. You know?
Oh, well, that
Yeah,
makes sense because
yeah.
a lot of the Ukrainians that made it to the U.S.,
Mm-hmm.
a vast majority of them had to leave because of like Holodomor and
Yep, yep, yep.
all the crazy
That
shit that
yeah,
happened
I
in
found out
Ukraine
about that
before.
later, and I
Yeah.
it's like almost like generations of Ukrainians that live here, which were moved right like even like during Soviet Union or before Soviet Union even happened, you know.
Hmm. Yeah.
So there's a
Yeah.
completely different idea, and I'm like, oh, okay, so Ukrainians are completely different, like from the perspective when you look from like different perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's definitely I mean, there's a back and forth, right?
Mm-hmm.
And new identities are created,
Yep.
and
Identity.
that's
Mm-hmm.
the thing is like if Ukraine survives this war, that's it's a pretty big accomplishment for like the Ukrainian nation.
Mm-hmm.
Like it will redefine what Ukraine means for every Ukrainian essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you can stay independent from Russia, then
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I didn't expect our conversation to be about Russian and Ukrainian war. You've been
yeah,
following
I
this.
don't know. There's
Uh-huh.
something I've always liked military history and history in
Uh-huh.
general, and I mean it's crazy to see um for so many years everyone had no idea what a war between Russia and the West would look like. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, ever since like the 50s or 40s, and we kind of finally
Mm-hmm.
get to take a look at what it's actually like.
Mm. You probably got some of that from like I guess your parents were also probably concerned about it when you were a child, right? Talk about it, and you probably.
Well,
Uh-huh.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
I mean, Poland was taken apart
Uh-huh.
between
Uh-huh.
Germany and Russia so many times.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Interesting.
And it's like the old saying is like you can never be a friend of your neighbor. You can only be a friend with your neighbor's neighbor.
Mm.
Because your neighbor is always going to want to take your stuff and be loud and
Mm.
walk in. So with Poland, it's Germany and Russia
Yeah.
are always on the frontier.
Um, like if we come like from Kazakhstan to like we also have our own concerns, regarding the situation, because
I mean, there was the coup,
mhm,
the whole switch up right before the war last year.
mhm. Yeah, man. It's yeah, yeah. You remember that, right? Right before the war.
Yeah,
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 yeah. We had that issue.
January,
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah,
first
yeah.
week or something.
So one big issue I'm having with this is like the kids that are sending to the war. A lot of them
Hmm.
are basically native people of the lands in Russia.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
like the Siberia is pretty much all native. They all look like Asians, pretty much. Kazakh.
What is it? Bashkir or
Yeah,
Buryat?
yeah, Buryat, yes, Buryat,
Yeah.
Bashkir, Tatar, like, and the drafting that they're doing, like military,
Hmm.
is like, like for instance, if you go to like St. Petersburg or like these bigger cities where a lot more like more Russians,
Yeah, they're not getting
they're
drafted.
not getting drafted as much, because those guys are gonna be complaining, but those guys are not complaining. They're just like ready. Because
Yeah, it's
yeah,
like
because
World
of
War II all over again.
the. So
Hmm.
again, like the native guys are gonna die,
Hmm.
So that's my kind of a little bit of a concern, and also like they brainwashed so much, man. Like they're willing to die. Because I've been talking to some of them, like,
Really?
yeah, we don't need U.S. We live okay here. We're Russians, you know.
Hmm.
And you trying to explain, it's like, nope, that's it. Okay, I'm like, okay. No worries. It's hard to explain, I guess. Like when
Yeah,
you
well, Russia's an
brainwash.
imperial power, right?
Yeah, super imperial.
And
Hmm.
and the thing with the Soviet Union is like for the first time with the Soviet Union is have you ever heard the term Novyop?
What is it?
Novyop?
Navyop?
Hmm.
Mm-mm, maybe I don't know. What does it mean?
It's like slang for like mixed people who are children of the Soviet Union and who have positions of power.
Mm, okay.
So like traditionally like a Ukrainian say like Khrushchev wouldn't or wasn't Gorbachev from Ukraine as well?
I don't know.
Like
Hmm.
like these people wouldn't be running the system
Oh,
or the
because they
party.
were Ukrainian.
Yeah, because
Mm,
because because the way the Soviet Union worked is like what I mean there's a lot of controversial stuff that you could say, I guess. There's like a lot of like street things that I've heard that's like, oh well, I mean the Jews and the Bolsheviks, and then the Georgians came in like Stalin, and they killed off the Jews and they took over. There's all these
mm-hmm,
different folk theories
mm-hmm.
of uh,
I
of
think like
these
the
inter ethnic violence within the
yeah,
system
that's true. That's true.
and stuff like that.
And I think like thanks to the Jews, like the majority of technological advancement there was done by the Jews during Soviet Union. You know,
Yeah,
uh huh.
and then a lot of the Jews that left Eastern Europe ended up
In U.S.
yeah in U.S. and Hollywood and New
Yep,
York and
yep.
all that.
Yeah, they lost so much human capital due to their
Right.
due to the system. You know.
Yeah, I mean that system was just ruthless. It didn't
Yeah,
really care.
didn't care.
It expanded every group of people and turned them against each other in order to
And
keep
that,
keep
but
power.
the
It
ideology
still
for some
does.
reason is strong. You know. Like those people who are still there, like from
Hmm.
that time, like for instance my mom,
Hmm.
I don't know, that ideology is almost like embedded into her system, and it's hard to get it out of her. You know what I'm saying? It's so
Mm.
hard. It's like
But I think that's also a thing with age. Like you
mm,
become old dog can't learn new tricks, right? Like,
yep, that's
and
true.
you get nostalgia for old era. And I mean,
Hmm.
I think that a lot of the complaints that Russians have against U.S. imperial interests and
Hmm.
incursions are like,
Hmm.
true. If you kind of take away all the different layers of propaganda. I mean, yes, like the U.S. is trying to destabilize Russia, At
Mm-hmm.
the same time, Russia's always been this like central authoritarian power
Mm-hmm.
that every time it falls apart, it just reconsolidates. And I mean, you know, with like Putin, how he was able to like reshuffle the republics and take away power from you know, after the Soviet Union fell, from the, you know, prevent the Chechens from breaking off. So
Yep. Yep.
kind of, you know, put a band-aid on it, and then restarted this process of centralization to where Moscow runs everything, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and Moscow is rich and St. Petersburg is rich, and then everywhere else is, you know, outside of like a few cities,
Mm-hmm.
it's just you know, the development level is terrible, right?
Yeah. So the question here comes is like this: what do you choose, right? Like total control over you, right? I mean, in both systems, there are total control almost, but here,
Yeah.
like, nobody cares about pretty much about you, and you're sucked of your resources from the get go, and you just need to survive on your own. But like the systems are not as developed like in US, right? They're not competent. So it's like we're almost like for instance in Kazakhstan, a lot of
Mm.
people are just autonomous almost. We just need
Hmm.
to survive on our own, and we were given like just this land, and not as
Because
like
it's
under
the
control
periphery,
like
right?
as here. But here you get to enjoy some of the like civilization. Like you get to
Mm.
make your you can make money, you can have vacations and weekends, access to
Mhm.
food and whatever. But at the same time you're just like fully under the control, like fully surveillanced and fully, like every single step of you is almost accounted for, you know.
Yeah, there's something nice about being a nomad. They're like on the
Yeah,
periphery. Yeah,
it's like a
you're much
choice.
more free.
Mm-hmm.
You
Uh,
maybe don't have as many options in
mm-hmm.
terms of like
Yep.
life, but
By the
you have
way,
less
that game I
intrusion.
was talking about, the Cyberpunk, you get to
Hmm.
choose three different avatars in the beginning of the game. So
Hmm.
first one would be Nomad, the second would be a Street Rat, and third would be
Hmm.
a Corporal. And each of them have a different, like a starting point in the game, right?
Hmm.
So if you're Nomad, you spawn outside of the system, but you need to infiltrate the system and do your thing. When you're a street rat, I guess you're within the streets, but you don't have access to like high level, stuff. But when you're in corpo, you spawn in corporate environment. You get to enjoy some of those benefits, but you don't have access to some like information that is almost underground, or something like that.
Hmm.
So that was a funny thing.
Yeah, your perspective
Mm-hmm.
is shortened, I guess. Your
Yeah,
reach.
nomad,
Mm-hmm.
nomad. Yeah, it's I guess it's close to me by my, I guess, blood DNA and stuff. But yeah, I guess I'm my mission was to come to US and work for one of the biggest companies, and which I did.
Hmm.
And now I feel like I don't know. It's like
Mission
I
accomplished.
almost mission accomplished, and there was not necessarily an ambition to grow in the ranks and stuff like that. It was my idea was just if at least I would be able to work and be a part of one of those companies and to
Hmm.
see like how it works. Even though maybe I didn't see the whole pictures, but I saw a little bit, and I was like, okay, very interesting. But I guess I'm more interested in like in nature and going back to roots, living a simpler life or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Because like I've worked for one of the biggest companies. I seen what's happening there, and I see where it's going. With all
Hmm.
the politics inside, with like the way people act. Like almost no one is genuine. There's no genuine feelings. It's all like just an act, pretty much
Hmm.
everywhere. So it's like that's a weird place. You know what I'm saying? No life
Hmm.
in there. There's almost no life. like the way it looks
Yeah,
from the
yeah, but
outside.
you got to make money somehow, right?
Yeah,
So I mean,
that's right. That's right.
you if you try to return, I mean, you could if
Hmm.
you can get a remote job, you could probably make a
Yeah.
really well for yourself
Hmm.
living overseas.
Yep. That's the
That's my
dilemma
plan.
right now. The problem right now to I guess to be able to enjoy the the like the income from US,
Hmm.
but like live somewhere a little bit outside, or you know, or not even outside that, and be able to to travel whatever you want. I guess live.
Does your wife agree with you or?
Um, I don't know. Um,
A
she
lot of
likes to
times
be
it's
yeah, she
it's
likes to
harder
be
for them.
more, I guess, like the career that she has right now. She started working, like just recently started working as a QA engineer. So
Mm.
like she works right now, and I guess she's basically exploring right now. Everything that she's going through right now, it's new to her. So she's
Hmm.
happy. But I guess
Right.
I've been through it. I've seen it, and it's like, is that what I came for, or is this what I like to do? That's the question, I
Hmm.
guess. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, if you
Mm-hmm.
can, yeah, if you could, I guess, yeah, create that novelty,
Mm-hmm.
keep creating that novelty, and then by other means or like maintaining that same source of income, then I mean,
Yeah. What do you mean by
it's
novelty?
novelty, like
Mm-hmm.
feeling of like rediscovery is a
Yeah.
feeling of novelty.
Yeah. I feel like I don't know. Maybe it's an age thing or something. I'm at this point right now. I'm like on a pivot point. You
Hmm.
know. I think I almost accomplished whatever I aim to accomplish. But if you look from the perspective of when I came in 2010, what I
Hmm.
was and what I became, maybe my ambitions weren't high enough. And I'm at this moment like I'm almost accomplished everything I wanted, pretty much. You know what I'm saying? Now it's like time to, I guess,
You want to
reevaluate.
relax?
Yeah, you know what I'm
Okay,
saying?
yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
yeah,
uh,
inevitably you will find new things that you want to keep going at.
yeah.
You
That's
can't relax forever,
yep,
unfortunately.
yep.
Is the thing. It's like I mean, even if you wanted to,
Hmm.
like
The
you're
system
going
is
to.
gonna push you to output. You know?
Mhm.
Yeah, I cannot keep it in there. Yeah, I think eventually I have something in me that wants to go out, so it'll go out in one way or another. We'll see. Yeah.
Well, you can. Have
Hmm.
you been back just to travel? When's the last time you were to
Yeah,
Kazakhstan?
I went to Kazakhstan last December. So this December I came back on January 11th. So we went to Kazakhstan. I went to India, traveled.
Oh, like literally a month ago.
Yeah.
Oh
Uh huh.
wow.
It was fun.
Yeah.
It was
So
interesting. Yeah.
yeah,
Even
yeah.
though
Uh-huh.
uh, I don't know. Yeah, I'm
What
confused. I guess.
you weren't there for long enough. That's why.
Yeah, maybe I should have been there for long enough. Yep, that's true.
Uh,
Like 3 months, like you did, right?
3 weeks.
Ah, you went for 3 weeks. Okay.
Hmm.
Okay.
Not too long.
Yeah, I mean,
India though, that's interesting.
India was interesting. Yeah, because we moved to Mountain View, right, California, Silicon
Hmm.
Valley, which is pretty much occupied
Little
by
India.
India. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I learned their culture a little bit. Started learning, like introduced to their cuisine more and
Hmm.
more. And I decided to visit the the actual country and to see what it looks like. It was fun. It was
What
interesting.
what cities did you go to?
We went to I went to Delhi first, right,
Hmm.
the airport, and
Yeah.
then from there I went to this temple that is up in mountains that Steve Jobs went to, called Kainchi Dham Ashram. I wanted to see like where he went and what's the deal about this place.
Hmm.
Turns out to be just an ordinary place. I mean, it looks nice, you know. It's right in the middle of the mountains. Like the monkeys just run around, a lot of wildlife and stuff like that. It was cool. Yeah.
Mm.
Uh-huh. And then I went to Taj Mahal. Checked out Taj Mahal. So Taj Mahal is like basically he used to be like a king of India, right? Back in the day. Yeah.
Is that the Mughal dynasty or whatever?
I don't remember. Yeah, but basically, yeah, Mongol. He's a Mongol. Yeah, is that what you say? Mongol, Mughal, Mongol.
Yeah, they changed the name, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah. And
Yeah,
those guys are basically kind of like an ancestors, you know, to me, because they came from our land.
yeah,
Yeah, basically Mongols.
Tangri.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Those guys. By the way, you do you know anything about that? I wanted to talk to you about it. You like when I posted the post about Tengu, you like I was surprised that you knew about it.
No,
Uh-huh.
I don't know
Uh-huh.
much about it at all. I just
Uh-huh.
know about it, you
Okay.
know. Yeah,
Interesting. Cool, cool.
I
That's
would
awesome.
like to know more though.
That's cool. Yeah, me too, by the way. One of the things I guess I was more interested in India or Hinduism is because they have those concepts, right? And they have a database of those concepts, basically records. But one biggest issue was nomadic, you know, culture. Even
Mm.
though we also carry those concepts, but it's all done through the word of mouth, nothing recorded, you know. So
Yeah,
there's
the and
no
whatever the
database.
ideology brings
uh
up. Yeah, you
We
have to make inferences.
we're more like everybody is a decentralized nodes, you know, like blockchain. So no centralized you know database of concepts of ideas of stuff like that. So that's why I was interested in India and Hinduism and Buddhism and stuff like that because they open to a lot of concepts, you know, like philosophical, all of their like ideas, all of this, the idea of the multiple gods and stuff like that. It's not that watered down like you know the 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 Western religions, just like one God and you're supposed to do certain things, and I don't know, more simple, I guess. To
Mm.
yeah, uh huh,
Well, my idea of
mm-hmm,
one God is
mm-hmm,
I think the Abrahamic religions
mm-hmm.
realized at some point that to rule a multi-ethnic, multi-tribal empire,
Yeah, it's all about
you need
control, basically,
you
right?
need one God.
Mm-hmm,
You can't have each tribe having different gods
mm-hmm.
and then trying to figure out whose temple you celebrate when, what holiday and stuff. And I think with India is India didn't have a central empire. I think for a really long time
Mm-hmm.
until the Muslims invaded.
Mm-hmm.
And then and I mean you know now it's they have that kind of mobilized them to find a new identity that's like not Pakistan or Bangladesh, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is kind of interesting, right? Like in Hindustan or Hindustan, they still remain, you know, Hindustan, and
Mhm.
everybody has their own, you know, opinion with regards gods and stuff like that. You know, like somebody believes in Buddha, somebody like believes in Krishna or some other god, you know, like Vishnu or but everybody has their own different opinion there,
Mhm.
which is kind of cool. Like, oh, that's interesting, you know. Like you can talk to one guy and you can talk to another guy, and he would be, you know, his opinions could be completely, you know, different from this first guy I was talking to. He could completely
Mhm.
disagree, and he was like interesting how like this big countries were able to sustain there, and also no matter whoever tried to invade them, they would submit to them, you know, pretty much surrender, you know. But at the end, they
Yeah,
would just kind of they
that's the
digest them, no problem, everyone.
that's the big hypothesis with India is
Yeah.
India is one of these big bread baskets of the world that
Uh huh.
that just always has had for like some extended period of time a big population density, I guess,
Uh-huh.
and they get their culture and religion and everything shifted around every couple hundred, couple thousand years through invasions.
Mm-hmm.
So before, I mean, it is a controversial theory, but there is like the Aryan invasion theory where the Buddhist manuscripts refer to like an invasion from the steppes,
Mm-hmm.
and that's how what's that god of war Shiva? That's where
Yeah,
a
yeah,
lot of those
yeah.
gods
Uh-huh,
come
uh-huh.
from. Mhm.
Interesting. But like Mongols invaded India, and they were able to digest them, and British were doing like were a colony of Britons, and they were able to digest
Yeah,
no problem,
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. They're very resilient
yeah.
people in that regard.
It's like they're like like what is it called? Quicksand. They just slowly just absorb you inside.
My
Mm-hmm.
my speculation is that yeah, when Indians and ancient Sumeria have some kind of connection.
Mm.
Ancient Indians and ancient Sumeria.
Mm-hmm. But like one of the oldest, pretty much records that have a big database of knowledge that is oldest and has so much, data.
Hmm.
I would say it would be in India and like Hinduism
Hmm.
that came to us place. These Upanishads, Vedas, and stuff like that.
Yeah, 3,500 years ago.
Yeah, like one of
I
the
guess.
oldest
Mhm.
records and
Yes.
such a volume, like the biggest database available. Maybe you can
Right.
go deeper like to Egypt or Africa, but those
Or
records are almost
Greece.
fragmented, you don't get a one cohesive, you know, big
Yeah,
yeah.
that's
Uh-huh.
that's
Uh-huh.
because Greece, Egypt, and the Levant,
Mhm.
and then like Assyria and all that, they all got wiped out 3,500 years ago
Mhm.
because of the at the end of the Bronze Age there was like a cataclysm in that area of the world,
Mm.
and all of their records got wiped out between the Bronze Age and the Iron Age.
Yeah. So to this day, um I guess I would say India has the oldest and most comprehensive records of I would say ideas and concepts throughout like thousands of years. They were just able to, I guess, accumulate that,
Do
which
you
is
know
kind of
about the
fascinating. Hmm.
you, do you know about the Indus Valley civilization?
No.
They're older than the oldest known civilization in India,
Mm-hmm.
but no, like archaeologists have a copy of the script,
Mm-hmm.
but they can't figure out what it says.
Oh.
It's one of these languages that hasn't been cracked yet,
Mm.
and it was found in the Indus River Valley, and then they have examples of it in ancient Sumeria,
Mm-hmm.
and then I think even they like found some stuff on like Easter Island with the script,
Mm-hmm.
which is crazy far, right? So
Mm.
uh, India might be one of the like the oldest
Yeah,
places
oldest that
with
is
big settlements.
oldest big settlements and oldest
Hmm.
I guess that have like the information that has survived in such a big volume. Like that's what I want to say. If we counting like from like if people were first started in Africa and then started migrating up by the
Hmm.
by the waters towards east and slowly going up and then all the way to Americas through Ice Age. So India would be in this chain would be the oldest that has so many records of
I,
imagine
so I,
human
mhm.
civilization just living for thousands and thousands of years and collecting
Mhm.
that information and all of the concepts, ideas, and it's not like it was not done in a matter of uh, I would say it was done just like in a matter of like thousands of years of living there. When I went to India, I noticed some of that, civilization that is still carried over, something different. Some, subtle things, but they still there. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how to explain.
Yeah, it sounds like you had a lot of fun. I'm jealous.
Yeah, it was interesting. Yeah, uh-huh. It was
How
interesting.
long did you stay there?
I didn't stay for a long time. I wanted to stay more. Only like
Like a week
yeah,
or
like a week.
okay.
Hmm.
And then you were in Kazakhstan for like a month or
Yeah, pretty much. So
nice.
yeah,
Did you
mhm.
did you fly from Kazakhstan to India
Yeah,
and then back?
yeah. I just
Oh,
wanted to, I
cool.
guess, since we were on that side of the world, I wanted to visit some
Were you
place.
looking out the plane the whole time?
We were
Yeah.
planning to go to Europe, and then I was like, first of all, Europe is more expensive, and second is like, I was like, yeah, first of all, it was economic side. You know, if I wanted to go to Europe, I need to like invest, get more money in order to
Hmm. Yeah.
have a quality time. I would say.
Well, where do you want to go? Did you want to go to London or something or
No,
France?
like just like in Europe, like starting from Greece, going to Italy, stuff like that.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Hmm.
Italy's expensive.
Yeah.
Greece. I
Hmm.
mean, all of Europe goes on vacation to Greece.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
also,
you wanted to go check out the beaches. Sounds like in December.
not really. I wanted actually to check out their churches. I guess
Oh. Hmm.
when you want to learn about like the arts and about the civilizations, you need to go to these temples or churches, I think.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
because that's when people were putting all their efforts in, for reals.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I went to this place called Akshardham in India.
Hmm.
Dude, pretty cool. Like this Hindu place.
Hmm.
Very cool. Like the arts there, like the fractals. Man, it just reminds me of like these guys can trip without eating any substances, just being in that state of mind, elevating their vibrations to such places. Even like when my wife went inside it, like look, I was like, this is what I've seen, like look at these fractals. This is what you see when you try these, like mushrooms and stuff like that. She's like,
Yeah.
oh man, this is too intense. It's like that. This is not even like close when you actually experience it within yourself, when
Mhm.
and everything moves, that energy. But they're still able to like pass it to people, which is cool.
Yeah, I mean, if it's in a physical form outside the body, you see anything bigger than yourself, even like a giant door,
Mm-hmm.
it'll have somewhat of a psychedelic effect,
Yep, it
and
does.
then and then you start getting into how it's decorated and
Yep, it does. Definitely. And also, I'm also like believer like in like geographical location. Each place has its own energy. Like for instance, when
huh.
you go to Colorado, right, and mountains, when you go like when you see those mountains, the energy of the mountains is like
Mhm.
crazy. When,
Right. Well, no, for sure.
hmm
Freaking geography plays a huge role on
Huge.
the human mind. Being out in California, it's like very desolate. You get great views
Yeah.
compared to like Poland is very green, like
Mm-hmm.
green rolling hills.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like very like laid back, quaint. Like you could live there for decades and like live in touch with the land versus California is just like you have to travel these great distances to
Yeah.
find shelter.
To me, I
Hmm.
like I remember like I drove trucks for 6 years, right?
Hmm.
And out of all the states I've been through, like
Hmm.
Colorado would be the place when all everything is started, so it has a separate place for me. But like the California, I would say is one of the best places, you know, in the world for me. I don't know why.
Hmm.
Like the nature wise.
Well,
Uh huh.
I know you mentioned it once that you like
Mm-hmm.
vast expanses
Yeah.
and you don't like the mountains as much because
Mm-hmm.
they prevent the flow of travel.
maybe,
These
but
this
I
huge
still, I'm
boundaries.
still, I guess, fascinated by them. You know, maybe I'm not too comfortable. I guess all the time. You know, being, I want to see, far and stuff like that.
Mm.
But still, like when you go to mountains, just like when I first time I saw mountains in Colorado, I've never been to Almaty, in southern Kazakhstan, which has a lot of mountains. We're close to, like Tibet,
You've never
Himalaya.
seen those?
I
Are you? Oh, you're kidding me.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I
They're
always right
I
before.
hear they're even bigger than like
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
Colorado one.
Right before I came to Colorado in 2010, I've never
Uh
seen
huh.
them. That's what I'm trying to say.
Wow.
Yeah. After that, I went there in Almaty. Last time I went there, it would
Uh
like
huh.
the city itself was like post-Soviet architecture, Soviet Union
Uh huh.
architecture. So I didn't like that. But like the views, man, like they're a lot closer to your face. Like when you look from Denver, like if you have a nice view to the mountains, they're still kind of
Uh huh.
far, right? But when you get out from in Almaty, like when you look up, when you have a nice view, it's like so beautiful, man. They're like right in front of your face. This
Mm-hmm.
that whole like what do you call a skyline or whatever, of the mountains.
Mm-hmm.
So beautiful, man, and it's still white, like a lot whiter, I think. The color, so
Mm.
it changes like the whole
Different
picture.
draw.
It's a lot
Mm-hmm.
brighter. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Well, how far away did you live from there? From Almaty?
Uh, about I would say 1,500 or 1,000 miles.
1,000 miles? Oh
Yeah.
wow.
Mm-hmm.
It's like 10 hours driving, right?
Uh,
More than that.
yeah. With
15.
our roads,
15.
I don't know if you know about the situation with the roads, but it will take about maybe a couple of days even.
So you grew up in northwestern
Yeah,
Kazakhstan?
northwestern region, close to
Oh,
Russia.
okay,
Mm-hmm.
that makes sense.
Yep.
So you're like we were always much closer to like Chelyabinsk and what
Yeah,
else
yeah,
is
yeah,
there?
yeah. Yep. Orenburg. Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
So if you notice there, there's Kazakhstan border, right? And you get
Hmm.
Russian named cities, but
Hmm.
they're like Orenburg is a Turkic, you know, has like
Which
a lot of those names are Turkic origins, pretty much.
which city?
Orenburg, yeah.
Edinburgh.
Yeah, and also if you notice, Soviet Union did this interesting thing. They wanted to
Mm.
divide all the Turkic nations, right? So the
Yeah,
so
yeah.
between
That's
Kazakhstan and like Tatarstan and Bashkortostan, there's like Russia, you know. So it's
right.
like
Yeah.
Russian territory, and then these autonomic republics, right? Tatarstan and Bashkortostan, and same thing to Mongolia as well. There is Russia between our border and Mongolian border, so we cannot go straight to Mongolia. We have to
Yes.
pass through Russian border.
The boundaries are very deliberately designed,
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
with Fergana Valley and
Uh huh.
with the Tajiks fighting with the
Uh
Uzbeks, and
huh.
then Armenia and Georgia and
Mm-hmm.
Azerbaijan. Yeah, like having the
To keep
same
them
thing as
separate.
like the
Yeah.
Caucasus. Yeah.
So I wonder, like, what are my ancestors have done so crazy? They were probably doing some crazy shit. So they decided to like, no, fuck this thing. Let them keep separate so they don't, unite back again.
Well, that's
Yeah.
that. Yeah, this is the ebb and flow
Yeah.
of Europe and Central Asia.
Uh huh.
Is the Russians aren't too happy about being a vassal state of the Mongols in the 1400s.
Yeah.
So 300 years of that kind of
Yeah.
got them a little pissed off.
That's crazy, man.
It's
Hmm.
the I mean, as far as all the Turkic
Hmm.
countries,
Hmm.
Turkey is probably like the up and coming one.
Hmm.
But that's I don't know how you feel about that, but that's more of a stretch maybe. I mean, linguistically
Hmm.
there's a connection,
Yep.
but
Linguistic like connection. Yeah.
the Turks are more like Ottomans, right?
Yeah, and they're more closer to Iran. You know, like
Mm.
if you look at their faces, they're more like Persian. looking people. Uh-huh.
Oh, you're talking about, yeah, ethnic,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
genetics type thing.
Mm-hmm. And the culture-wise, they're not nomadic. They're more centralized, because of Islam and
Mm.
I guess like the trade routes and stuff like that. And there's also like
And
similar,
yeah.
like Uzbekistan down there. They're also centralized because they're trade. There were like trade places where the Silk Road was going through, so people settled there. Even a lot of Jews like to hang out
Mhm.
there. When it comes to our
Bukhara,
side,
have you?
more to the
Uh-huh.
north, is a lot
Yeah.
more nomadic. A lot more nature, a lot more tengri. Everybody minding their own business, or very decentralized. You know.
Right. There's a
Uh,
whole gradient.
the decentralization is very important in more northern part. Like like even me, I hate the idea of centralized. Things. I don't know why. It's just like I like
Well,
the idea of freedom and being autonomous.
yeah, the
Uh,
geography, affords that when you
yep.
have such great distance between
Yes.
places, and
Yeah, but you don't get to
that's
enjoy,
what happens.
like the fruits, the vegetables. That's why you have to be very uh, close with the animals, house animals like sheep,
Hmm.
horse, camels. That's how you survive. You both survive like that. Like they survive with you, and you survive with them. And you have to like always be moving. During summer, go to a cooler place. During winter, go to a warmer place.
Hmm.
And you don't come back to the same place next year, so you let the earth, to renew itself organically. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
the population density, you don't have every
Mm-hmm.
piece of land being parceled out
Mm-hmm.
and claimed and all that, right?
Yeah. So that's why when I came to California, I was imagining those first people that came to California
Hmm.
and just stumbled upon this place, and they'd be like, "What the hell is this place? This is so cool!"
Hmm.
They have all
Yeah.
like like the soil of California, just very fruitful. Like you can grow anything here.
That
Uh huh.
definitely.
Uh huh.
The most recent migrations were the most nomadic Spaniards and Anglos.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah.
with the Spaniards coming in through the south and the Anglos coming in from the
It
east.
was like a
But
paradise for him, probably, right?
right, yeah.
Yeah.
They're escaping the oppressive systems of the Spanish crown
Uh
and
huh.
the
Uh-huh.
and the English crown. So
Yeah.
it's kind of like the same, probably similar to your heritage with your German grandmother.
Yeah.
The
Yeah. Yeah.
Germans wanted to get the hell out of Germany, which was becoming increasingly, um, dense and also industrialized,
Mm.
and the German state formed in the 1800s.
Mm-hmm.
So you had all these settler Germans going eastwards,
Mm-hmm.
and then a lot of those Germans ended up in South America and North America too,
Yeah.
especially. Yeah.
Have you heard? Like, I recently found out that like the fascists, the Nazis back in World War II, a lot of
Hmm.
them migrated to Argentina. It
Yeah,
was like
yeah,
a news thing to me. Like I found out about it very recently. I didn't know there's like the whole like towns in there, and they
hmm.
still live like there. A lot of the culture, a lot of the you know
Argentina and
architecture even
Brazil.
stayed there.
Yeah,
Uh huh.
Argentina and Brazil got a crazy wave of migration because of World War II and
Mm-hmm.
after from Europe. It was probably
Mm.
one of the last places from Europe to get that kind of migration.
That's cool.
There was also after the Soviet Union fell, a lot of people like my parents immigrated west, but every once in a while, there'll
Mm-hmm.
be there has to be some kind of big thing to run away from,
Mm-hmm.
for people to do that.
By the way, with regarding the Tengri thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Before I also like you like just heard about this the Tengri thing. I never like paid attention to it because when we were growing up like you're a Muslim, But then when
Mhm.
I came here in the US, I actually started like when in Denver, I used to work for this company. And they used to install video cameras, the surveillance system company, and they were Afghani guys, and they were
Mhm.
Muslims, you know. And I
Mhm.
found out that the the religion of Muslims are completely different that we were been, you know, our culture was in Kazakhstan, you know. It's like super different. So
Mhm.
like my identity part was like, so does that mean I'm not a Muslim, you know? Because a lot of
Mhm.
things that I was asking them, is this allowed? Is this allowed? No, 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 this is not allowed. We don't do that. We don't do that. So for instance, like one example, we you know, we believe in, you know, like spirits of our ancestors, right?
Mhm.
There's no such thing in Muslims, you know. They straight go straight to the God. That's their idea, you know.
Mhm.
You
Yeah.
only you only, you know, serve the God. That's it. And but in our cultures is like everywhere, like, and it's never, I guess, preached, you know. It's always like your parents say, you cannot do that, you don't do this and do that, and it's almost like a culture, a day-to-day life, you know.
Mhm.
And when I had that first psychedelic experience, that's when it started to make sense to me, you know, like this whole
Really?
tengri and all that stuff. That's when I came to it a lot more in depth, because I had this crazy experience, like shamanic experience, you know. I almost like
Mhm.
had like a shaman with me, you know what I'm saying? So that was very profound experience in my life that almost changed. The For me it was like life before that and after that. That's type of change happened to me, you know.
Sounds like a baptism.
Yeah, it almost sounded like almost sounded like a baptism, and you know what it also sounded like? Sounded like an exorcism as well, because
Mm.
I went crazy that day. Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
that's it happened to me too.
Yeah.
I mean, I took a lot of psychedelics between age 18 and 22. I think
Mhm.
is when I started stopping. 21,
Mhm.
22.
Mhm.
Um, really 20 is when I started stopping, but I had little echoes of
Mhm.
wanting to still find out what it is. So between 18 and 20, I was having all these formative experiences anyway.
Mhm.
And then, like you said, I would lose my mind and forget who I was or why and this stuff. And I didn't really have any way to reintegrate or guide these experiences, but they
Mhm.
definitely kind of like definitely profoundly changed me at the time, like altered
Mhm.
the course of my life.
Mhm.
So I definitely see where you're coming from, but like the difference is you've been able to look back on so much of your life and then reintegrate, you know,
And
and in a much more mature way.
maybe that's why, like, when you hear like my like talks recently, I'm talking about the ancestors and like my culture and in the past, because of like this. I I wanted to. I guess I don't know. Maybe because of Soviet Union just kind of destroyed, you know, like keep our
Yeah,
identity
yeah.
secret. It's just there's
Hmm.
just this search inside me. There's like I want to know who I am, you know, type of deal,
Hmm.
where I'm from, because I have no idea, pretty much, because our parents would tell, you know, some stories, you know, but there's like there's no like solid identity developed, you know, because
Hmm.
I'm a Soviet guy. I speak Russian, you know.
Hmm.
Like to this day, I speak Russian. I know how to speak my own language, but I don't think in that language. I still think in Russian because we were brought up to speak Russian.
Yeah, your identity was founded within like the 20th century,
Yeah, which
and
is
that's where it started from, and that's where it lives
yeah.
on
But at
from.
the same time, there is like a crave that you want to know where you coming from.
Ancient
You know what I'm
stuff.
saying?
Yeah.
Very ancient.
Hmm.
Because a lot of people say that that's not important, but I think they say it because they know, you know, where their ancestry comes. But when you come
What
to
uh, what haplogroup are you on your blood test?
I've done I don't know what haplogroup, but I've done my DNA test, and I have
Hmm.
ancestors uh, the 50,000 years between Genghis Khan. or something like that, or 50,000 something. And then I have an
This,
ancestors with Benjamin Franklin as well through my grandma, which is funny. Yeah, I need to check out, but I don't know. I don't remember. Do you know? Are you like pretty familiar with this haplogroup stuff, like the DNA stuff?
yeah, so
Hmm.
I mean, it gives you there's paternal and maternal haplogroups,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and you can kind of
Hmm.
trace your lineage that way. But it gives you a perspective on these like ancient migrations that happened.
Yep, yep. I've seen it. So from my maternity side, they went from Africa and up, right, towards Europe.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
then from father's side, they went from India, Asia, all the way like up to the Japan stuff, and then started going west from there, you know. And
That
then
might be
the other guys went
haplogroup
up
N or
to
L.
like Siberia and Alaska and to
Hmm.
Americas. So that's where it comes.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
If like I think it's all Siberians and
Mm-hmm.
Europeans, and I think Central Asians too, trace back to it's like Northeast Eurasian ancestor or
Mm-hmm.
something,
Mm-hmm.
common ancestor. It was like 30,000 years ago or longer.
Yeah, man. Let me pull it up real quick. Do you have the T23andMe?
I didn't do it on myself, but I have family members who have had it.
Yeah, so basically, I got it for free because they needed data from Central
Yeah, I
Asia.
remember.
Uh huh. So let's see, find out what you're made of. Ancestry update. So I'm 34% European, 30% East Asian, and 28% Central South Asian.
What's your haplogroup though?
Let's see, what do I see that? Ancestry timeline, parental inheritance, DNA painting, scientific details, Neanderthal ancestry, paternal haplogroup. Let's see. So paternal haplogroup. I am in CM86. So it goes from CM, haplogroup A. It's called. So if it starts with haplogroup A, I went
Hmm.
to CM, and then CM 130, 65 years ago. CM 217, 50,000 years ago. So it's C basically, and maternal is L.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And yours? Do you know yours?
Mine's R1A.
Uh,
I don't know what my maternal one is.
so it's R, huh? It's interesting. Like the human race started in Africa, and then.
Yeah, and there was like
Hmm.
these waves of people escaping Africa for whatever reason. You said maternal haplogroup L or which one?
Yeah, L,
L.
and paternal C. Hold on. Your maternal haplogroup is V. It says. Uh
V?
huh. And then your paternal haplogroup is C-M86 as your out of East. So, as our ancestors ventured out of Eastern Africa, they branched off in diverse groups that crossed and recrossed the globe over tens of thousands of years. Some of their migrations can be traced through haplogroups, families, and lineages that descend from a common ancestor. Okay.
So what comes up if you look up haplogroup CM8, C1A1? It says it's most concentrated in Japan or something.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So hold on, let me just send you a screenshot of the map here. So this is my paternal, And if you see the migration, they went east by the waters, and then went all the way up, and then branch out to west. Do you
Mm.
see?
Mm-hmm.
And then the
217.
part of them went to Americas, which is cool. You know?
60,000 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
When you look at Asia, there's so many different chains of paternal haplogroups on the map.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Of it up and down.
That's so
I'm
cool.
trying to find yours. C1b. No, that's not it.
And I'm gonna send you the maternal one. Maternal one was pretty straightforward. They just went up. Do you see it?
Mm.
Mm-hmm. And if I scroll down, it says V common ancestor 10,000 years ago, Benjamin Franklin.
Mm-hmm.
And on paternal, CM 2017, common ancestor 50,000 years ago. I don't understand this part, 50,000. So 50,000 years ago, there was a common ancestor between me and King Hassan, right? That's crazy.
That's what it says.
Yeah.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
50,000. That's a long time.
Yeah, and I
Mm-hmm.
have closer and like I'm closer and I have a closer ancestor 10,000 years ago with Benjamin Franklin
Mm-hmm.
than Genghis Khan.
You know, with the V line,
Mm-hmm.
I'm willing to wager that that's from uh, like either the Neolithic expansion into Europe or the Mesolithic.
Mm.
I don't know which one. Because essentially the theory is that Europe got when people figured out how to grow grain, they figured it out in the Near East, and then they took that to Europe. So it looks like, yeah, your maternal line, they either were part of the original people, one of the original waves of migration to Europe, like
Mm.
the Paleolithic or the Mesolithic, or it could have been Neolithic.
Wow.
And
And
then your father's line, I mean, that one I'm seeing C1, A1, and C2 coming through Central Asia.
mm-hmm.
So I mean the last what do you say, like 2,000 years of European history is people from the East expanding and pushing other people westwards.
Mm.
I think it also has to do with if you look far back enough, people in modern day Mongolia started raiding China, like the development of Chinese civilization
Mm-hmm.
got good and they prospered because of it. And
Mm-hmm.
then at some point, they were able to expand using those technologies westwards.
Mm. Yep.
Because I mean, if you look at the starting with there were like the Avars, then the Huns, and
Mm-hmm.
then I mean, it just kept happening, right? Like
Yeah.
the Hungarians are there because the Pechenegs chased them out, and then the Pechenegs were chased out by the Mongols.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, I think
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
there's these waves of migration that didn't reverse until essentially European expansion after 1700,
Mm.
with Russia not being able to expand westward into Europe, so they went east.
Mm-hmm. What about
So it's definitely an
Poland?
ebb and
What
flow.
about Poland? Where does your lineage comes from originally? Like,
Well, Poland officially, I mean, it only has 1,000-year long history,
mm-hmm.
um, which dates back to getting Christianized. But
Mm-hmm.
before that, before there's a solid written history, there's like the tribes along the Vistula River,
Mm-hmm.
and people along the Baltic and stuff like that. And then the language, I mean, it comes from Slavo-Baltic, right? And then
Mm-hmm.
that's separated into Slavic. So
Mm-hmm.
definitely, if you look far back enough in time, I mean, the last big change that happened in Europe genetically was the invasion of the Yamnaya culture from the Pontic steppes, so like modern day Ukraine.
Mm-hmm.
And then those people basically they left R1A and R1B admixture in like almost almost all modern Europeans.
Mm-hmm.
And then the big difference between Eastern and Western European is R1A versus R1B.
Mm.
It's like and
Do
the
you guys
split
have
is somewhere
any
along the
like
whole front.
relations to Vikings?
Yeah, so
Uh-huh.
the Vikings they had north-south trade routes, so that's the whole reason that Russia is so close to Greece, and it's like
Mm.
development is because east-west wasn't that big of a thing, but north-south was.
Mm.
Because in order to get to Byzantium, Constantinople, Istanbul, you would have to go north across the Black Sea and then up the Dnieper or the Dniester, and then once
Mm-hmm.
you got up far enough, you would get to a different river system that would take you to the Baltic.
Mm.
So there was a lot of slave trade happening north to south.
Cause like the Vikings are like nomads, but on the sea, right? They use
Yeah,
their boats.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
river and sea, yeah,
The
and coast.
technology of boats.
Hmm.
Ours is like technology of horse riding.
Hmm.
Yeah, the first people who uh made it like the sat on horse basically, which was pretty much pretty crazy technological advancement at that time, especially when it comes to war.
Have you looked into
Mm.
like the first people to have domesticated horses?
Yeah. What does it say there?
It's called Sintashta culture.
Uh huh.
I'm
And
trying to remember what part of the world it was.
mm-hmm.
It's mostly the steppes of like Eastern Urals,
Mm. Okay.
like
Okay. Yeah.
very
Yeah.
very
Pretty
close to
much
where
the
you
our
grew
territory.
up.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, a little bit north of there.
Yeah.
And these people had they had like really advanced citadels and stuff like that, like advanced stuff for making arrowheads,
Mm.
metal,
Mm-hmm.
metal. They were good metal workers,
Mm-hmm.
and they were part of people who came out of Europe
Mm-hmm.
to that area.
Mm-hmm.
So like the Yamanaya people, they
Mm-hmm.
descend from ancient North Eurasian,
Mm.
and then ancient North Eurasian mixed with people from the Caucasus,
Mm.
and they made Yamnaya, and then Yamnaya invaded Europe, and they left their genetic imprint on all Europeans. So all modern Europeans
Mm.
have that R1A, R1B, and then the Yamnaya after a couple hundred years, they for whatever reason they invaded back eastwards,
Mm.
and they reached as far as ancient China,
Mm-hmm.
and that was the whole. That's not when that's when they know that they know they drank milk,
Oh.
and they know they ate horse meat,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's a culture later. Uh, yeah, you should look up Sintashta, but there's Asaveyevo, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Asayevo culture.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of these cultures are named after like basically the
Whoever
cities.
found out.
No, like where they were excavated,
Mm, okay. Okay.
and most of this place is in like modern day Russia,
Yeah. Yeah.
so
Yeah.
they have like Russian sounding names.
Mm-hmm.
Well, anyway, these guys further down, I think it's Asayevo.
Mm-hmm.
They were the first people to have chariot burials, if I remember right.
Mm. That's cool.
Oh no, Sintashta is the earliest chariot. So I don't remember what the Asayevo. Maybe they were like even earlier.
Mm-hmm.
But Sintashta were chariots, and then And then with the chariots, they expanded everywhere. So like you said, they expanded south into Iran, and basically like all the Iranian people are descended. A lot of them are descended from this.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's like ancient Persia.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's where the chariots ended up in Turkey and ancient Persia,
Mm.
and then India through the Vedas,
Mm-hmm.
and then ancient Egypt eventually, and like Greece got the same stuff. So eventually, that whole area of the world was fighting with chariots. I don't know about China.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure they also had that thing. And then at some point later, um, like you said, people found out that you can ride horses, right? And that's where
Mm-hmm.
saddle and better bridles come in, because like you need like a really good bridle to control a chariot.
Mm-hmm.
You need a different bridle to ride a horse individually.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like the development between horse domestication, because it happened over like a huge period of time, right?
Mm.
Like almost all modern horses, all like the modern species of horse comes from selective breeding
Mm-hmm.
for war
Yep, yep.
or warfare. There's the Przewalski's horse, which is like an ancient horse
Mm-hmm.
that's probably like more similar to what horses were like before all this stuff,
Mm.
before people were like
Yeah. And then there's
modifying
also
them.
like Mustangs, right? In US.
Yeah, but
Mm-hmm.
Mustang is like a feral horse. It's like this, like a Mustang isn't like a wolf.
Mm-hmm.
Like a Mustang is like a wild dog, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm.
like you wouldn't call a wild dog a wolf.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm. I see, I see. So
And
they're not
I'm
necessarily
looking up
considered like full on horses, pretty much. Right?
well they're feral,
Mm-hmm.
but they're not like they still all Mustangs have a genetic memory of being tamed by a human.
Okay.
That's the difference.
Ah, interesting.
Like for a horse to be purely wild, like
Mm-hmm.
it it would have very little memory of that kind of domestication. I'm reading right now that Przewalski's horse is one of the remaining truly wild horses. It's also called the Mongolian wild horse or
Mm. Mm.
Jungarian horse.
Mm-hmm. Приживальский, да?
Hmm.
Mm-hmm. By the way, when you said like the memory in DNA,
Hmm.
like during my psychedelic experience, I experienced something like that with the DNA
Nice.
memory. Yeah.
I believe in all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
ancestral memories. Yeah, I think there's a way that.
Whew, dude, before when like when my grandparents say like like your ancestor are gonna call you, call you
Hmm.
back or something like that. I never believed in that. Like, how are they gonna call me? They're dead. But then I think
Hmm.
like the way it is happening is just like the information is passed down through your DNA, and at certain point it's just like a program that is waiting to be executed like a file. And then when it's
Yeah,
executed,
yeah.
it's like, oh man, you know, you just get
I think
shocked.
there's a good. I think there's a good mix of
Uh huh.
ancient and learned behaviors, but I think that
Hmm.
we're like largely governed by these ancient behaviors.
Yeah, man.
Some some like orders of magnitude older than the others.
Yeah, cause I mean they're tried over thousands of years. It's like the technology that has been developing for thousands of years.
In
Not that like
millions, if you think of like
millions. Yeah,
monkeys and
yeah,
stuff like
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Millions or
yeah.
billions, right? And then we trying to here just replace it with the modern technology, which is kind of sort of I guess the derivative of the previous technology, but it's not been fully I guess. I don't know. The expansion is just too rapid, right? I don't know. Does
Mm,
that work or no?
y-
Uh huh.
yeah, like
Uh huh.
the first of all, the environment is changing a lot. So the
Mhm.
environment of the world is becoming much more hospitable for the average person.
Mhm.
So there's definitely like less traditional natural selection and evolutionary pressure, and
Yeah.
more economic and technological selection happening.
Mhm.
So the people who can't survive economically with new technologies are the ones who are being selected out.
Mm.
And it's a lot of times it might be selecting for like really ambivalently across the gene pool or for like certain genes. Like I think social media definitely selects for narcissism, and then
Mm.
and not only is there a genetic component, but there's also new behavioral components because whatever new mode of living you learn, you're going to pass that down to the next generation in some sense.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, it's like the whole Soviet citizen idea, like that doesn't come really from genetics. That's more of a cultural thing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, like stuff like that's going to get passed down as well. Like a lot of historical and geopolitical and a lot of national identities get passed down that way. But yeah, there's a mix of all of it
Mm-hmm.
happening.
Like before Christianity,
Hmm.
what was like what kind of culture, like what kind of gods did Polish believe in? That's an interesting part to me, you know.
Oh,
Do
right.
you know? I
I'm
mean,
not super familiar with that stuff,
uh-huh.
but there's like the god of thunder, Pierun.
Oh, okay. So is it similar
Yeah.
to Greek gods or
Yes.
similar?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about like similarity with
Viking
Viking
gods.
gods? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
They're all
It's
basically
the same,
very
right?
interrelated. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
When people get into exploring this stuff,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the times you start getting into sun worship or moon worship,
Yeah. Or
like worship of
in our
planetary
case, like
bodies.
Tengri is basically sky, eternal blue sky. Uh, you know what's interesting, right? Like this monotheism thing, right? Like Christianity or like very popular. But if you notice, like with the kids and with this, like with the Hollywood and stuff like that, we're easier to believe in these demigods, right? Like Marvel or DC. You know what I'm saying?
Pantheon,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. It's just I don't know. It's more organically easier to like. It's more fun to believe in that stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
The
I think it has to do
uh,
too with the decentralization of information. And
mm-hmm,
the thing that really started the process of unwinding Christianity was
mm-hmm,
the printing press. So
mm-hmm,
once people were able to print versions of the Bible or like print opinion pieces on the Bible,
mm-hmm.
then that's where the control of a centralized authority starts
Mm,
starts escaping from that authority. And then 300, 400 years later, after the Enlightenment and the Reformation, you have so many versions of Christianity, that it just it
mm-hmm,
starts falling apart,
mm-hmm.
which hasn't really happened to Islam.
Yeah, but
Curious enough.
like
Curious enough.
what I was trying to say, like these, like these gods or like the superheroes that we know, like since we were
Mm.
kids, like they're always fun, right? And what I'm saying is like people are like, especially younger generations, they're easily, it's easier to believe to these kind of like heroes or demigods or whatever you call them, like a human being with godlike
Mm.
features, right? But not completely
Well,
fully God. No.
I think
Uh
that's
huh.
reflective of this sort of culture of like wanting to be different and
Mm-hmm.
this explosion of in like industrial society. All of a sudden, when like everyone's kind of the same, all of a sudden you have a need for like subcultures to
Mm-hmm.
separate and identify groups of people. And the one of the driving things of this whole thing is capitalism, because you want like a new different set of symbols, a different aesthetic by which in order to sell new products and new ideas.
Mm-hmm.
And uh, and it, and things get more specialized with time.
Yeah.
So you just have a wider variety of things.
Yeah, but those things like like Thor, like all of these gods from ancient,
Norse mythology.
Nordic culture, or so I believe DC. So the Marvel is more Nordic, right? And DC was the other culture, the Greek or something. They. Mhm.
I'm not
Okay.
yeah,
What
super
I'm
hip
saying
on
is
all that.
like those things even were popular back in way before Christianity. Like you were saying, like these they were believing in these different deities. In Greek culture, there's like Zeus or and
Mm.
they basically in if we translate it in modern language, it's like laws of physics. Everybody is just governing certain laws of physics type of deal. Have you noticed? Like for instance, Zeus was thunder, like thunder got the electricity. You know,
Oh, like an elementary way.
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah, yeah,
I guess there's a way, yeah, of
uh-huh.
rediscovering the elements. Yeah.
Uh-huh. It's funny. And the same thing, like what I'm saying when we talk about, like this Tengriism, they were saying it was like, pantheism. They were believing
Hmm.
in multiple gods. But I don't think,
Hmm.
I think there was always an idea of singularity type of deal. Like there's like one big one, like, one something like singular that is
Hmm.
almost governs everything. But there's also like these, uh, like in the middle kind of guys that govern themselves like these laws of physics. You know what I'm saying?
You're getting at
Mm.
this idea, I
Mhm.
think that's
Mhm.
I've heard this like
Mhm.
so we have like Bronze Age, Iron Age, and then you can kind of think of civilization in terms of like solar age,
Uh-huh.
like a golden age and then a silver age. And basically, I mean, the ancient Egypt was sun worship.
Uh-huh.
So at some point, a, they're like not the original people who did it, but people worship the sun because when the sun comes up, you wake up and you start doing stuff. It's warm outside, sun grows everything around you that you can forage for.
Yeah.
Sun is a light, primal light. I mean, you go back far enough in the genetic memory, and you have like fish coming out of the ocean, frogs and then amphibians and all that. If you follow that, I guess sort of genetic reasoning, there's the primal response to light,
Yeah.
and then as human civilization becomes more complex, the more derivative forms we create
Mm.
out of this golden age
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
of of uh, you know first leaving Africa or something. I don't know.
Mm. You know what conclusion I'm coming to right now? So we've been developing, right, as human species for a long time, and like in this like recent most short period of time, the advancement in
Hmm.
technology, it just
Hmm.
goes beyond our capacity, to process all of this at this moment.
Yeah, yeah, it's asymptotic. It's long
Mhm.
gone beyond our capacity to
Mhm.
process.
And I think it's just we're trying to hold on to this thing that we want to be still, at the forefront of things. Where
Hmm.
I think we're already behind type of deal.
Yeah,
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
I think the golden era of human civilization is probably like 5,000 years ago.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Back when we first learned how to become warriors,
Mm,
and then kind of like the human form had dominance over everything else on this planet, including other humans. And then kind of after that, I mean, you have the rise of states and kings and stuff like that, concentrated
mm.
cities, and that's kind of where we start becoming less human and more the next thing.
Yeah. So the next thing is like our consciousness is going to be uploaded or something, right? Or
Maybe, yeah,
yeah.
or just disintegrated
Yep.
into pure schizophrenia.
Like, have you had this moment during your trip when you fully disintegrated and you feel like you don't exist at the same time you exist everywhere?
Yeah, I had it one time when I
Yeah.
was I mean this I remember it pretty well.
Uh-huh.
Even though I don't remember the whole thing, is I took weed edibles, mushrooms, and acid at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
and I got so high I had to like lock myself in the bathroom,
Mm-hmm.
and like kind of time just stopped existing. I would just be observing
Mm-hmm.
the tiles,
Mm-hmm.
and hours went by, and then the next few hours I was like relearning mathematics and trying to remember what my name was.
Mm-hmm.
So I was trying to remember how to count,
Mm-hmm.
and how, because I knew I have to figure out time again. And so I was looking at a clock trying to do math for a few hours. And then
Oh,
finally
interesting.
I figured out how to count on the clock again. And
Oh.
at that point I was
So
like,
you,
oh,
you
okay.
you basically created your time yourself, right?
Yeah, well, I was, using my fingers to count,
Wow, that's cool.
to try to figure out what the numbers mean, which are, Arabic numerals, and then, India invented zero, and then before that was Roman numerals, right, which are basically just a shorthand for fingers, you know.
So our consciousness basically creates time, right? Type of deal. The more we focus.
Some would say, but
Uh-huh.
now that blockchains exist, time exists outside of our consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
So forever, as long as there's a computer running a timestamp that's synced up with all the other computers,
Uh-huh.
like objective time exists.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, I would say the only other measure of objective time is like, the Earth's motion around the sun
Mm-hmm.
for us. So I mean, that's where the year comes from.
Mm-hmm.
But even that stuff is changes, right? Like, so 50,000 years from now, there's going to be more seconds in the day, so there's going to be like an extra leap
Mm-hmm.
day or something.
Mm-hmm. Everything is changes, right? Nothing is constant, almost.
Yeah.
So the moment you're starting to figure out one thing that you think you figured out, everything changes.
Not instantaneously. I mean, there are instantaneous ways to change, but yeah, everything is in a slow evolution, and you're part of the change.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
I think that's what you're getting at. Is like when something is changing in your mind,
Uh-huh.
like
Uh-huh.
it's hard to revisit something the same.
Yeah, that's right. Everything
Yeah,
in past and in future changes, right?
yeah, like
It's
we're always living in the present.
uh-huh, uh-huh.
Essentially, we have an idea of the
Of the
past or the
past.
future,
Yeah.
but we're always living in some present reality.
Yeah.
That's the frame of reference.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
It's like if you ever get into relativity,
Uh-huh.
or special relativity, how like time changes based on how fast you're going in the universe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, I hate to end it here, but
Yeah, man. Thank you
you
for your
have
time, by the way. Yeah.
sure,
Thanks for like
good.
talking to me. It was a long
Oh,
time talking, and I think it was very productive, I would say.
yeah, you
Yeah.
get I'm kind of a brainy person, a
Yeah,
little too much. So
that's awesome. Like
once
we can
once you
talk.
get once you start getting me talking about like these kinds of topics, could
That's
go
cool.
could go for a few podcasts.
Yeah, that's cool that you like interested. You read about stuff. You research that kind of stuff, which is cool. In depth.
Mm.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I had a few phases in my life, right, and that was one of them. Was like trying to figure out what the hell this all means.
Mm-hmm. And do you think were you able to figure out?
No,
Yeah,
no, I
that's
just
it's never like the
no.
conclusive answer.
Just there's just work and stuff to do. I think
There's
that's
more
the
questions, right?
only way
Even
out.
more.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Hmm.
Yeah, same here, same here. Cool,
It'll
man.
drive you crazy.
Mm.
It can.
Yeah, it does. It does. It does. Yeah, man. Thank you for your time, man.